Fear. It's strange, isn't it? Something you can't see, can't touch, can't measure, yet it can control your whole life. We think fear is a monster that lives outside of us, hiding in the dark, waiting to attack when we try something new. But the truth is, fear doesn't live out there. It lives in here, in our minds, in our stories, in the quiet voice that whispers, "What if you fail? What if they laugh at you? What if you're not enough?" That voice, that whisper, has stopped more dreams than any wall, storm, or person ever could. You know that moment before you try something bold? Your heart beats faster. Your stomach twists. Your mind starts showing you a movie of everything that could go wrong. It's like your imagination becomes your worst enemy. That's fear. And right beside it comes doubt. Doubt is quieter but deadlier. It's the subtle voice that says, maybe this isn't for me. It doesn't scream, it suggests. And before you realize it, you start believing that suggestion. You stop trying before you've even started. And that's how most people live their lives. Not because they aren't capable, not because they don't have potential, but because they let fear and doubt make the decisions for them. You see, fear isn't evil. It's protective. It's your brain's way of saying, be careful. I don't want you to get hurt again. But your brain can't tell the difference between a real danger and a meaningful challenge. So, when you decide to chase a dream, to start a new job, create something, speak up, or take a risk, your brain freaks out. It thinks you're walking into a lion's den when really, you're walking toward growth. Most people mistake discomfort for danger. They stop when things feel uncomfortable, thinking it's a warning to quit. But in reality, discomfort is just a sign of expansion. Your world is getting bigger. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, there was a man who wanted to become a speaker. He had the ideas, the passion, the heart. But every time he stood in front of a crowd, his hands shook, his throat tightened, his mind screamed, "Run!" So he ran, again and again, until one day something inside him snapped. He realized that fear would always be there, and waiting for it to disappear was like waiting for the sun not to rise. So he decided to stop running. The next time he got on stage, he still felt that panic rising in his chest. But instead of running away, he whispered to himself, greater than okay, fear. You can come with me, but you don't get to drive. And he spoke, voice trembling, heart pounding. But he spoke. And when he finished, the audience clapped. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. That day, he learned something powerful. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act despite it. The more he faced it, the easier it became. Fear didn't vanish. It just got quieter. And that's what happens when you take action. Fear loses its grip when you stop obeying it. You see, fear and doubt thrive in silence. They grow stronger every time you hesitate. But the moment you act, even just a little, they shrink. Action is the medicine for fear. But here's the tricky part. Fear doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like, I'm just not ready yet. Sometimes it hides behind logic. Maybe I should wait for the right time. But there's never a right time. There's only now. Every person you admire, every leader, artist, entrepreneur, creator, they've all been scared. The difference is, they learn to walk with fear, not wait without it. Let's get real for a second. Think about all the things you didn't do because you were scared. The chances you didn't take. the words you didn't say, the dreams you buried under maybe later. Now imagine if fear wasn't in the picture. What would you have done differently? Who would you be right now? It's painful to think about, but it's also freeing because it means the only thing standing in your way is a story in your mind. You can rewrite that story. When fear says, "What if you fail?" you answer, "Then I'll learn." When it says, "What if they laugh?" you say, "Then I'll smile back." When it says, "What if it doesn't work?" you say, "What if it does?" Because success doesn't come from never being afraid. It comes from never letting fear make the final decision. Let me give you another image. Fear is like a shadow. It follows you everywhere, but it can only exist when you face away from the light. Turn toward your purpose, and suddenly, fear is behind you. It's still there, but it's not leading you anymore. You know why some people achieve their dreams while others don't? It's not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's simply this. They act while afraid. They know fear will always be part of the process, but they've learned to dance with it. Every great invention, every song, every speech, every movement that changed the world started with someone who was scared, but they did it anyway. Here's a secret. The most powerful version of you doesn't appear after fear disappears. It appears in the middle of fear when you push forward anyway. You build confidence by facing what scares you, not by avoiding it. Think about it. When a baby learns to walk, they fall 100 times, but they never say, "Maybe walking isn't for me." They just keep trying because they don't overthink it. They haven't learned fear yet. We learn fear as we grow up, from rejection, failure, judgment, and we start protecting ourselves from pain. But in doing so, we also protect ourselves from growth. Here's the irony. The wall you build to keep fear out is the same wall that keeps freedom out. So if you truly want to grow, you have to be willing to feel uncomfortable, because growth never feels safe. When you chase your dreams, people might not believe in you. They might laugh. They might doubt you. But remember this. Their doubts say more about their fears than about your potential. You can't control what others think, but you can control what you tell yourself. So when your mind starts replaying old memories, the times you failed, the moments you were embarrassed, remind yourself, that was then. This is now. You're not that same person anymore. You've learned, you've grown, and you're still here, stronger, wiser, and ready. Fear will always whisper, doubt will always echo, but you don't have to listen, because courage is a choice, every single day. Each time you do something that scares you, you train your brain, you're teaching it. See? That wasn't danger. That was growth. And one day, you'll look back and realize the things that once terrified you now feel normal. Because fear didn't vanish. You evolved. So don't wait to be fearless. Be brave instead. Take the step, send the message, start the project, speak the truth. Because the only thing worse than fear is regret. And when your time comes, you don't want to say, "I wish I had." You want to smile and say, "I'm glad I did." Fear is strange. It doesn't have a face, a shape, or a sound. Yet somehow it can control everything we do. It can decide which dreams we chase, which ones we abandon, and which ones we never even start. We grow up thinking fear is something we can fight or avoid. But the truth is, fear doesn't live outside of us. It lives inside our minds, quietly, constantly, whispering reasons why we shouldn't try. It tells us, "You're not ready yet. It says, what if you fail? And the worst one of all, what will people think? We listen. We hesitate. We stop before we start. And that's how fear wins. Not by attacking us, but by convincing us to stand still. I remember hearing a story about a young man who wanted to open his own business. He had talent, ideas, and the passion to make it work. But every time he got close to starting, doubt took over. He would think, what if I lose everything? What if I embarrass myself? Years passed. He watched others start, fail, learn, and try again, while he stood in the same place. One day he realized something painful. His fear of failure had turned into something worse, a fear of regret. That's when he decided to start. He wasn't fearless, he was terrified. But he started anyway. Fear doesn't disappear when you take action. It just learns its place. It learns it's not the one in control anymore. When you understand that, everything changes. Because the goal is not to be fearless. The goal is to stop letting fear make your decisions. Think about Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. People laughed at him, called him obsessed, said it was impossible. But he once said, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Edison wasn't fearless. He was focused. He didn't listen to doubt. He used it as fuel. And that's something fear will never understand. When you use it as a sign to move forward, not backward, it loses its power. Every great story you've ever heard starts the same way. With uncertainty, with fear, with doubt. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He could have quit, told himself. Maybe it's not for me. Instead, he trained harder than anyone else. He said, I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter changed her life and the lives of millions. She once said that her rock bottom became the foundation on which she rebuilt her life. Every person you admire, every dream that became real, began with someone who was scared. But they did it anyway. Fear isn't your enemy. It's proof that you're standing at the edge of something that matters. It shows up when you're about to grow, about to change, about to do something meaningful. But if you let it guide you, it will take you in circles forever. Because fear's favorite place is the comfort zone. It's safe there. It's predictable. It's quiet. But nothing ever grows there. The comfort zone is like a soft bed. Easy to sink into, hard to get out of, and dangerous if you stay too long. We tell ourselves stories like, I'll start when I'm ready, or I just need a little more time. But deep down, we know that ready never comes. Nobody ever feels ready to change their life. You just decide to do it anyway. Fear of judgment is one of the hardest ones to break. We worry about what people will say, what they'll think, how they'll react. But the truth is, most people are too busy thinking about themselves to judge you for long. You can't control what others say, but you can control what you listen to. And the voice you hear the most, the one in your own head, is the most important. That voice can either build you or break you. So you have to train it. You have to talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love. When your mind says, you can't do this, answer back, maybe not yet, but I will. When it says, you're not good enough, remind it, I'm getting better every day. Your thoughts are not facts. They're just stories you repeat until you start believing them. So, change the story. I remember a woman who dreamed of becoming a singer. She had a beautiful voice but was terrified to perform in public. Every time she tried, her hands shook, her throat closed up. She thought, I'm just not meant for this. Then one day she sang at a small open mic. Her voice cracked, her rhythm was off, and she wanted to leave halfway through. But when she finished, people clapped. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. And in that moment, she realized something powerful. The world doesn't need perfection. It needs authenticity. Fear tells you to hide. But the truth is, your imperfections are what connect you to people. Nobody connects to perfect. People connect to real. The next time you feel afraid, remind yourself that fear is just energy. It's your mind saying, this matters. So instead of running from it, run with it. When you move toward fear, it shrinks. When you run from it, it grows. Every step you take, no matter how small, is proof to your brain that you're capable. And that's how you build confidence. Not by waiting for fear to vanish, but by acting in spite of it. Confidence isn't a feeling. It's a pattern. The more times you face fear and survive, the more your mind learns that you can handle it. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that courage comes before action. But that's not true. Action creates courage. You don't need to believe in yourself fully to start. You just need to take one small step, even while afraid. Because once you move, belief begins to grow. Think about this. Fear never really disappears. Even the strongest people still feel it. The difference is, they stopped waiting for it to go away. Fear will walk beside you your whole life. But it doesn't have to lead you. The next time your heart races, when your hands shake, when your thoughts start spinning, tell yourself, this is not danger. This is growth. Every great thing in life starts with fear. The first step, the first word, the first decision. They all come with uncertainty. But once you take that step, the path appears. You are stronger than the voice in your head. You are capable of more than you've imagined. And you owe it to yourself to see what's on the other side of fear. Because one day, you'll look back, not at the things you did, but at the chances you didn't take. And you'll realize that the fear that once felt so big was only as powerful as the attention you gave it. So take the step. Start the thing. Say the words. Don't wait for courage. Create it. Don't wait for fear to leave. Bring it with you. Because fear is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of the chapter where you finally rise. There's one last story I want to share. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years. Imagine that. When he was finally released, he could have chosen anger, bitterness, or revenge. But instead, he chose forgiveness. He said, I learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Even a man who inspired millions felt fear, but he refused to let it control his heart. Fear will always exist, but so will strength. And the moment you choose strength, even for 1 second, everything changes. The world opens up to those who take that first brave step. And that step, it's waiting for you. So the next time your heart races, the next time your mind says, you can't do this, smile, because it means you're about to grow. It means you're standing right at the doorway of something incredible. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for permission. Start while afraid. Speak while unsure. Move while doubting. Because fear only controls the ones who stand still. You're meant to move. You're meant to rise. If this message spoke to you, if you've ever felt afraid, uncertain, or full of doubt, remember this. You are not alone. Every person who's ever achieved greatness has walked through fear first. So, start today. Train your mind to believe in possibilities, not limits. And never forget, your thoughts shape your reality. If you train your mind to win, eventually, you will. And hey, if you found value in this video, make sure to subscribe to Level Up English for more motivation, real-life lessons, and the mindset you need to grow. Together, we'll keep moving forward. One step, one story, one fearless day at a time.